to New and choose under Part, Standard, and click on New Standard Part. And the part that we're actually going to, the letter that we're going to be creating does not have a lot of straight lines in it like the letter L did. So, and we want to be able to do it again just in one sketch. So I'm going to show you how to do it just in one sketch, because there are a few issues that do come up when you happen to be putting like a couple letters together in one sketch. So first of all, we're going to start. Here's our sketch plane. We have to make sure that our browser is visible, so the browser actually keeps track of what we've done. So we're going to come over here and start a 2D sketch. And we're going to go ahead and select and click on XY plane. And then again, we're going to come up to the line menu choice, but under the line menu choice, we're actually going to click Spline. Now the spline is really cool because just like line, you can do continuous lines. However, these continuous lines, you have the ability to actually make like curvy. So let's try the letter S. So I'm going to click once, and then I'm going to move up like I'm actually going to draw the S and click again. And then I'm going to draw up and keep trying the S and click again. And then I'm going to keep going with the S and click again and click again. And then I'm going to kind of curve around, like I'm going to start doing the middle part of the S and click again. And then I'm going to keep going. And see how I'm slowly creating the S by actually clicking several times with some pivot points. So once I actually kind of get the shape of an S, and I'm kind of happy with it, I'm going to click on the check mark. So there's my spline. If you don't like what it looks like, just click undo and then click spline and try it again. Now here's the absolutely cool part about using spline is, see all those spots that you actually clicked and made pivot points? You can grab a hold of those now and kind of play with what the spline positions are of those pivot points to make it a little bit more curvy if you want. And like that one I kind of totally screwed up, so I'm going to come over here and hit undo and bring it back. I'm going to try to actually take this end point and bring it up a little bit farther. So I think this is a little too heavy on the top, so I'm going to bring it in a little bit. So I'm kind of content with the way that looks. Again, if you're not happy with the way the S looks, just want to delete it, you can actually highlight it completely and hit delete on the keyboard and it's gone. You can try drawing it again. But I was very happy with it, so I'm going to go ahead and hit undo and have it there. So now I can't extrude this the way it is because it's not actually a closed-in figure. So I want to be able to make almost like a bubble letter, how there's actually another S part that follows the same outline. But I'm going to have a really hard time doing spline and actually trying to follow the same pathway. So that gets a little intense trying to do that. So I definitely don't want to do that. So I'm going to hit escape. An easy way to actually kind of copy what this is go to what's called offset. So I'm going to click on the offset menu choice, and I want to offset this entire S curve. So I'm going to click on it once and drag it inwards a little bit. So see how it kind of mirrors the other one? And I'm going to go in a little bit. I'm not really concerned about how wide it is with the measurements. So I'm kind of happy with the thickness about it. So I'm going to click once. And now I have another spline that actually mirrors exactly what the other one was. So at this point right now, you would think, oh, there's my S. Let's see if I can actually extrude it. So I'm going to try to make this 3D. So I come over here to Finish Sketch, click Finish Sketch. And if I go over to Extrude and try to extrude it by clicking on it, it doesn't extrude, and it won't extrude. And the reason why it won't extrude is because it's not a closed figure. So imagine extrude is kind of like cement. If I poured cement into this middle of this S, it wouldn't stay in there because it would fall out of the top and it would fall out of the bottom. So you have to make sure you have a closed figure when you go to extrude it. So because I closed the sketch and I tried to extrude it, I have to get back into the sketch to actually fix it. So that's where the browser comes in handy. So see where it has sketch 1 and I run my mouse over it? See how it highlights the entire S? Well, I'm going to double click on sketch 1, and now I'm inside of that sketch again. So I know I'm inside that sketch again because there's the actual check mark that says finish sketch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to close this top part of the S. I'm going to close this bottom part of the S. So for me to do that, those are kind of straight lines. So I think I'm just going to come up here and do a straight line for that. And I want to make sure I really get it closed in. So I'm going to take my roller on my mouse and zoom in so I can definitely see the endpoints. And you know it's closed when your cursor turns green. That means I am definitely at the end of that line and I can attach to it. So I'm going to click once, and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to work my way to the very end of the other line, and again, I don't want it to be yellow. I'm not concerned about the length, I'm not concerned about the degrees, I want it to be green. See the color green that shows up? And I'm going to click again. So that means that line definitely attached to this bottom part of the line and this top part of the line. Now, I don't want to be in the line feature anymore because I don't need it right now. So I'm going to hit escape on the keyboard. And now I've closed up the top part of the S. Well, now I got to get to the bottom part of the S. Now the easiest way for me to do it is to come up to my navigation cube, my view cube. I'm just going to hit home. And I don't really like working at it at an angle, so I'm going to work on it so it's actually two-dimensional. So this is kind of facing to the left or facing front. So I'm going to click on the front, and it's right there. And now I got to get all the way down here to zoom in. And now I got to connect these two pieces. So I'm going to go to line. I'm going to come over here and make sure that that turns green. That's how I know I'm touching the end of that spline and I'm attaching to the end of that spline. I'm going to click once, drag it over, and see how it's green. So I'm attached to the other part of the spline, and I'm going to click. So I know that has completely closed the two spline lines. I don't want to be in this menu anymore, so I'm going to use my left hand to hit escape. And now that I've actually, I'm going to go back here to home again. Now that I've actually closed up the S, I'm going to hit finish sketch, and I'm going to test it. I'm going to make sure that I can extrude this because now I think I've closed the complete S. So I'm going to go to extrude, and I'm going to click on the S. And that's way too far, so I'm going to make it a lot shorter. So let's do this one maybe like 0.5 of an inch. And again, you can use this. If it happens to be closed like that, all you got to do is hit the drop arrow and it opens it up. Okay. And I kind of don't like this in the way, so I'm going to drag this over out of the way. I kind of think 0.5 is still a little too far, so I'm going to highlight this and make it 0.25. So I'm a little bit happier with that and click OK. Okay, so see how I can definitely get that to be extruded. Okay, but I'm not ready to extrude this yet. I actually want to add another letter to the same sketch. So I'm going to be doing 2 letters on the same sketch. So what I want to do is go to undo. And I want to just have an unextruded letter S. And now I want to get back into the sketch. So I want to go back into sketch 1 and I want to add another letter to it. So I got to come over to sketch 1 and click twice. And now I am in sketch 1. So what I'm going to do next to sketch 1 is I'm going to make the letter O. Okay, no big deal, nothing fancy. I think to make the letter O, I don't know if a circle would be good or maybe an ellipse would be good. So let's see what it looks like with a circle, because an ellipse kind of looks like an oval, but we'll get to that to see what that looks like. But let's try circle. So let's click circle, and I'm going to click once and pull it out. And right now, if I extrude that, it's just going to look like a full cylinder type thing. I don't want it to look like that. I actually would like it just to look like the letter O, where it's kind of outlined like the S. So see the little green dot? That's the center of the circle I just made. So I'm going to make another circle that has the same center. So I'm going to click on the center once and pull it out. And that looks to be about the same thickness as the S. And now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to extrude this ring part instead of the whole O. Okay? So, see how it still has the hatch on the cursor? It's got the little cross. That means I'm still in the circle menu, so I have to hit escape. And again, if you screw that up, just hit undo. Try it again. Okay, and hit escape. Okay, now that I have two letters in here, little catch too, little side note. If I would have made this O and see how it crosses over the S, when I would go to extrude that, it wouldn't let me extrude that because the lines would interfere with each other. So you got to be careful with those overlapping lines like that. Okay. So some of the things that we'll do later, I'll show you how to do some trim and that to make it kind of blend together. But for right now, let's just keep our letters separate so the lines don't overlap. If you have lines that overlap like that, you won't be able to extrude them. Okay, so let's actually try to make our O again. And click the middle, get that ring. Get out of the actual menu by hitting escape. So I have an S that I think is completely closed, and I have an O that I think is completely closed. So now I'm going to hit finish sketch. And both of those are made in one sketch. See how I highlight one sketch? I don't have two sketches there. I don't have three sketches. I just have one sketch. So one sketch, I want to extrude both of these letters at the same time. So I'm going to go to extrude. And again, this is kind of in the way, so I'm going to kind of move it out of the way by grabbing this little rectangle. I'm going to grab the box, pull it out of the way. And I want to extrude at 0.25, so that's a good amount. So I'm going to click on, I'm going to zoom in a little closer and get the inner part of the S. And I want the ring of the O. I don't want this part of the O, I want this part of the O. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to zoom back out, and now I have two really nice curved letters. I'm going to click check, and I did that all with just one. If you come over here, see where the word extrusion is? I did that all with one sketch and one extrusion. Okay. So now I have to go through the process of going to File, Save As. You want to make sure that you go under this PC. Under this PC, you definitely want to find your H drive, which I don't have access to right now. But you definitely want to open up your H drive. And inside of your H drive, you want to open up your folder that says letters, remember the folder that I had you made that said extruded letters? That's where you want to click open that folder, and then you want to save this as the S and the O. And that's what the name of your file is going to be. And then you would click save. But you got to get inside of your H drive, so click it open. And you got to get inside of your folder by clicking open the folder that says letters.